So today we're going to be defining absolute value functions. Both Cal and Al live 3.2 miles from school, but in opposite directions. So if you assign the number 0 to the school, you can show that Cal and Al live in opposite directions from it by assigning 0.32 to Al's house, and negative 3.2 to Cal's apartment. But for both Cal and Al, the distance from school is 3.2 miles. Distance is never negative. And the absolute value of a number is its size or magnitude or distance, regardless of whether the number is positive or negative. We use the notation the absolute value of x to write absolute value expressions. So you would write the absolute value of 3.2 is 3.2, and also the absolute value of negative 3.2 is 3.2. Put the video on pause and try a few of these, and come back when you're done. The first one, the absolute value of 5 plus the absolute value of negative 5 is just 5 plus 5, which is 10. The second one, part B, 2 times the absolute value of negative 17 would be a positive 34 plus 3, 37. Part C, absolute value of negative 4 is 4, so 4 divided by 4 is 1. D, it's getting a little trickier. The absolute value of negative 6 minus the absolute value of negative 6 is 0. 6 minus 6 is 0. Part E, notice the negative sign is outside the absolute value, so we're taking the absolute value of 8, which is 8, and there's a minus sign in front of it. The answer is going to be negative 8. And F, the absolute value of 0 is still 0. What is the answer to the absolute value of x equals 5? Well, obviously, x can equal 5, and x can also equal negative 5. Notice how we set this up. Okay, one time we just dropped the absolute value sign, set it equal to 5. The next time we dropped the absolute value sign and set it equal to the opposite answer, so negative 5. Let's practice one. The first step we have to do is get the absolute value sign by itself. So the first step before you try anything else is to subtract 7 from both sides. And now we're back to the problem that we just had previously. The absolute value of x equals 5. So either x equals 5 or negative 5. Plug those back into the equation to see if they work. Next one, x minus 2. The absolute value of x minus 2 plus 7 equals 12. First step, again, get the absolute value sign by itself. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. Next, we're going to set it up into two equations. Okay, so the first step, we're going to drop the absolute value sign and just write the equation like you see it. The second time, we're going to drop the absolute value sign and make the answer negative. Here's the first one. Here's the second one. For the first equation, x minus 2 equals 5, to solve, all I have to do is add 2 to both sides. The second one, to solve for x, all I have to do is add 2 to both sides again. And I have my two answers. Plug them back in. When x is 7 into the original equation, the absolute value of 7 minus 2 is 5, and the absolute value of 5 plus 7 is 12. Let's try the negative 3. The absolute value of negative 3 minus 2 is going to be a positive 5. Positive 5 plus 7 is also 12. They both work. Okay, for the next couple ones, go ahead and put the video on pause and try them, and then see if you get the right answer. For number C, I'm going to set it up into two equations. Remember, the first one looks exactly like you see it without the absolute value signs. The second one, I'm going to drop the absolute value signs and make my answer negative. For both equations, I'm going to solve them the same way. I'm subtracting 1 from both of them. So I have an answer of 6 or negative 8. Part D, again, the first step is you have to get the absolute value sign by itself. So the first step is divide by 3. Go ahead and put the video on pause and try this one. If I divide by 3 on both sides, I'll have the absolute value of x plus 2 equals 2. This is where I set it up into two equations. So x plus 2 equals 2, or x plus 2 equals the opposite answer, negative 2. For both equations, I'm solving it the same way, subtracting 2 from both sides. So I have an answer of either 0 or negative 4. Last one to try before we try something new. 2 times the absolute value of 3x minus 1 equals 4. Again, first step, get the absolute value sign by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And now I set up two equations. For each one, I'm going to solve it the same way. First, I'm going to add 1 to both sides, and then I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So here are my two answers. Okay, quick notes. We have learned that the answer to the absolute value of 4 is, the absolute value of x is 4 is either positive or negative 4. So when we have something like this, the absolute value of x is less than 4, we're looking for all points whose distance is less than 4 units from the origin. And here's what it looks like. We're looking for all values between negative 4 and positive 4. Because any x between negative 4 and 4 satisfies the condition, the absolute value of x is less than 4, the solution set consists of all numbers x for which x is between negative 4 and 4. Okay, 3 problems to try. Here's the first one. We are looking now for all values of 2x plus 4 that are less than or equal to 3. Look how we're going to set it up. We're dropping the absolute value sign, and we're setting it up to less than or equal to 3 on one side, and we're setting it up to greater than or equal to negative 3 on the other side. This is what we want to solve. We want to solve 2x plus 4. We just want to get an x by itself in the middle. 2 steps. The first step is I'm going to subtract 4. I have to subtract 4 from both ends, from both the negative 3 and the positive 3. The second step is to divide by 2. So again, I'm going to have to do it to both sides. I'm going to divide the negative 7 by 2 and the negative 1 by 2. And here's my answer. So my solution set is between the two numbers, between negative 7 halves and negative 1 half. Look where it falls on the number line. Put the video on pause and try this one. Again, the first step before you attempt any absolute value problems is try and get the absolute value sign by itself. So the first step is to subtract 3 from both sides. Okay, notice the sign. It's a less than 2, so I have to set up the equation like this. Negative 2 is less than 4x. 4 plus x is less than 2. We're working with the middle. There's only one step to do here. Subtract 4. I have to subtract 4 from both sides. So in this case, my solution is anywhere between negative 6 and negative 2. Okay, let's try one problem with a greater than sign, then we'll be done. We are looking for all points whose distance is greater than 3 from the origin here. The absolute value of x is greater than 3. Here's what it looks like on a number line. Any value less than negative 3 or greater than negative 3 is an answer to the absolute value of x is greater than 3. Notice how we're going to write this. X is less than negative 3 or x is greater than 3. We have to write two equations here, greater or. Remember that. Okay, this is a greater than problem. We have the absolute value of 2x minus 5 is greater than 3. Setting up two problems. We're just going to drop the absolute value sign, make one greater than 3, and the next one, look how we're going to write this. We have to write less than negative 3. So we're changing two signs. We're changing the inequality sign and the sign to the 3, making it negative. For both equations, we're solving it the same way. First, we're going to add 5 to both sides, and then we're going to divide both sides by 2. So we have our solution of x is greater than 4 or x is less than 1. And here's what it looks like. Okay, come to class with questions.